All right, good morning, folks. Today I want to introduce our newest farm edition. This morning we picked up a calf from a local dairy. We picked up a bull calf. Obviously, a dairy is in the business of making milk, so when they have bull calves, they don't really need those animals to stick around. So we picked up one of their calves. As you can see, he's a little fella. He's standing up back there. He's a mix between a Jersey and a Holstein. Um, on their farm, they promote grass genetics, so they like to feed as much grass as possible to their dairy cattle. And we want to promote those genetics on our farm as well. We want animals that are able to sustain themselves on grass and get fat on grass. So if we go to a farm that already is using those genetics, it just helps us get further along. Hi, Murphy. Farm dog had to come up and sniff my feet. So we're excited to have him. Hopefully we're able to get a lot more this year. Right now, unfortunately, they only had one, so we were able to get him. So we're going to get him set up this morning. We've got our lean-to behind us. We'll show you that now. So this is the equipment that we use to raise our bottle babies. You don't need a huge barn or anything like that. We just put them in a lean-to here, and this faces away from most of the weather that we get, and we also will stack some straw bales there just to keep them away. We do have to lock them in here at night. Calves this young don't really have the understanding that they need to get out of the weather, so a lot of times they would stand out in the cold rain, and it just wouldn't be good for their health. During the day, we'll open this up and we'll have an electric fence here, so while they're small, we can get them trained to the electric. Just makes them a lot easier to manage once they're bigger and they already understand that electric fences aren't fun to play with. We'll get you a better view of the baby there. Say hi, Mom. There's the baby. We're going to get him out and get him into his new home and get him adjusted. We'll catch up with you in just a second. Okay, folks, as you can see, we were able to get the calf put into his new home. Wanted to go over basically the housing that we use for him. It's not too complicated. We just have a lean-to here that keeps him out of the weather. Really anything that you can use to keep him out of the weather. I've seen some people even use dog houses. We like to give him more space than that. And we make sure he has nice clean bedding. We use straw. You can also use hay, anything like that. You can tell he's a little fella. So if you're new getting into cattle, obviously a bottle baby is going to be more sensitive and have more needs. But if you're willing to learn those needs and how to take care of the animal, they're very small to start with, so it's a nice way to get used to having cattle and how to handle them before they become 1,000 pounds, and it's very difficult to get them to move the way you want to. When they're 50 pounds or 30 pounds, they're a lot easier to maneuver. I believe this guy is probably only 2 or 3 days old. He's not very old. One reason we like getting him from the dairy, though, he's born with his mom, and he's able to get that colostrum in him. So if you're looking to get bottle babies, always ask where they come from. It's best to get them from the farm that they were born on, because then you know for sure that they're getting that colostrum from their mother. And also, calves this young are susceptible to a lot of illness. So if they're in a cell barn, if they've been hauled in trailers, those sorts of things where there's a lot of cattle going through them, just like young infants are with humans, their immune system just isn't built up yet. So that's why they need that colostrum from their mother. And you want to try to get them where they haven't been moved around into cell barns and those sorts of things. What do you think, buddy? You like your new home? He's still checking everything out, but really that's all it takes to keep them safe. You need something predator-proof, obviously. So we use cattle guards to keep them in here at night, and then I'll take an electric fence and put it around this area. So that way we don't have to worry about coyotes or anything trying to dig underneath and get into them. Hi, buddy. Yeah, he's still adjusting to his new home here, but in a few days he'll get used to that. We will be making a series of videos on how to raise these, so if you're interested in learning about bottle calves and what it takes to raise them up, we'll show you the equipment, how we make the milk, how we make sure that they don't get scours, how we take care of their health, all of those sorts of things. So please follow along with us as we raise up this baby calf. All right, folks, as you can tell, I was able to get the perimeter fence set up. This is the sheep netting. You really use it for anything. It's about the same as the poultry netting, any of that sort of thing from Starkline or Premier One. Sheep electric netting is what this is. I like to use it sparingly. I find it effective for training new animals. Seems to be the best way that I like to use it because it is a physical barrier. When the animal runs up to it, it looks just the same as my woven wire fence behind it. So they have that familiarity with it, but then as they get close to it and nudge it, they get that shock. And it's able to train them to get used to that. And then as they get older, I'm able to put them on just one electric wire. I found that to be the much more practical way to move animals around if you want to rotationally graze. You really need to use the electric reels with the step-in post instead of the sheep netting. I'll show you a couple reasons why. Follow me around the field here. So the first thing, if you're somebody that's going to be grazing, usually you're not going to be in perfectly square farmland. So like here, it's a little bit hard to tell, but that is rock coming out of the ground. And my post, especially this one over here, I struggle to find a place to put them. You can see it's sticking up out of the ground a little bit. So really there's no way around this when you have the sheep netting, because you have to put the post how far it tells you. Or if I had the electric netting, I could just go out into here, put a post, and it wouldn't be an issue. But you have to follow along every so often with a post when you're using the sheep netting, so that can be an issue. Also, here in the hills, I don't have the option to make everything a perfect square. I have a lot of odd shaped areas, and it's hard to get the fence to fit exactly the way I want to. But this works well enough. It keeps the animal safe. Here's what I was talking about, reason why. As you can see there's a little gap under there, so if I left that without anything protecting him, I wouldn't feel too comfortable with that. And we'll go up here and take a look on the new calf, see how he's doing. I think he's sleeping in there. What are you doing, buddy? Oh, did you just get up? Good morning. He seems like he's adjusting well. And as you can see, the reason why I left him locked up in there today, it started raining on me a little bit. It's supposed to have on and off rain today. It's pretty warm, but I don't want to risk getting him sick on the first day that he's here. He's had a lot of stress already getting moved around. I did put a little bit of water in there for him. I don't think it's something that's needed. Not this young, but also this is what we use to feed him with. We'll make a further video on how we actually come up with mixing the milk and making it and all that sort of thing. But we use a bucket like this. It can just hang right on the post. Sometimes you have to adjust it a little bit to get it hanging just right. And they've got the nipple on there, so that way they can feed themselves. The bottles do work, but in my experience, I found that when you're using the bottles, you end up hurting your wrist quite a bit trying to get the milk to them, because they like to hit out. That's how they naturally get the milk to come to them, is by nudging their mama. So they think that if they nudge us, they'll get more milk, and then it just ends up making your wrist pretty sore after a couple weeks of doing that. So to recap, folks, this morning we were able to get our hands on a dairy bull calf. He is a cross between Holstein and Jersey. The reason that we love using the dairy is dairy actually produces one of the highest quality meats. It doesn't produce in the volume that you would get if you had an Angus or a Hereford, but in blind taste test, Jersey and Holstein actually rank second and third behind, I believe it's Wagyu is how you pronounce it, is the top. So they have excellent marbling and they have excellent flavor. They just don't produce a ton of it. We're not in the business, though, of trying to produce the most volume we can of meat. We want to produce the highest quality that we can. And also, getting these animals very young helps us to be able to, one, minimize our costs that we have in the animal when we're first starting. So if I do make mistakes as a farmer, I'm able to not sustain as heavy of a loss. And also, it gives us the opportunity to get the animals very used to us and easy to move. They also have grass genetics. On their farm, they're trying to produce as much milk as they can on mainly on mainly grass. So that's why we like to use that dairy. They believe in a lot of the same things we do. They're not trying to have 1,500 pound Holstein cows. They're trying to have 1,000 to 1,100 pound dairy cows that are able to sustain themselves mainly on grass with a little bit of extra inputs through grain or corn, something like that. Um, so basically, we agree a lot with the principles that they do, and they're local. They're only maybe 15 miles from us, so it works well for us and it works well for them to be able to get from them. Hopefully, we're able to get some more. Right now, he's seemed like he calved mostly in February, early March, and we were wanting to wait till this time of year because I didn't want to have the calves out here when it was super cold. So hopefully he's able to get us a couple more that way. We don't want to leave him by himself. We'd like to get at least 3 or 4 more. We've got the space for it. We've got the grass for it, so we might as well get those animals. You can probably hear my chickens in the background there. Um, if you'd like to follow along with us on our journey as we raise up these bottle calves, please subscribe to our channel. I always enjoy seeing everyone's comments, and knowing that people take their time out of their day to watch my videos is really inspiring. So I appreciate everybody taking the time to do that. Do want to show you our chickens before we get out of here. So if you're ever curious what pasture-raised chickens are, that's what I would call these girls. A few of them ran through while we were filming the time lapses there. These animals are able to produce higher quality eggs than what you're going to get through the grocery store. Pretty sure anybody that knows, even if they're producing eggs that are sold in the grocery store, they're going to say the same thing. Caged-free organic is not the same thing as pasture-raised. If you fed these animals organic feed and kept them inside of a coop or in a cage, you could call them organic. So that's why we don't like the titles like organic or cage-free, anything like that. We love to show people. I believe that's the best way to be transparent about how you're raising your animals is show them what you're doing and try to keep it as close to natural as possible. These animals, we let them out in the mornings as long as it's good weather and they're able to stay safe from predators. We do get hawks in this area and things like that. So if we see those flying around, we're not going to let them out, but we do try to as much as we possibly can. And also, one thing that benefits us is we are using heritage breeds, not breeds that were bred to live in a barn their whole life or a coop their whole life. These were built to forage, so they're able to protect themselves more. I've had Rhode Island Reds and other breeds like that, which when I would see hawks come around, that's actually how I lost my last flock that I had. They would not protect themselves. These girls here, when they see a hawk flying over, they hide, and a lot of times I have a hard time finding them. They're pretty good at hiding, and they're super quiet when they see those animals fly over.
All right, folks, as you can tell, it's starting to rain on me, so I'm going to have to wrap this video up. Like I said earlier, it is truly inspiring to know that so many folks are watching these videos. Even if it's only 50 people that took time out of their day to watch a video, it's inspiring to me. And hopefully you learned something, and maybe you'll even be inspired to start your own farm. Please subscribe to the channel to follow along with us as we raise these bottle babies up and eventually turn them into steers that will provide high quality meat for my family and for my community. And thank you for watching.